Hello, today is short and sweet, and we are going to jump straight in with the only principle for this video. Work on your greatest stumbling blocks. Imagine you are a fifth grader and get a 50% on your math test. You're devastated. However, your teacher hands you a worksheet. She explains, all of my questions required multiple steps. Unfortunately, in math, when you mess up any one step, you get the whole answer wrong. But messing up the answer doesn't mean you missed every single step. There were four main concepts on this test, so go back and see how many times you got each one right and wrong. So you grudgingly get to work. The first concept is adding fractions together. To your surprise, as you go through the test, the teacher didn't mark you down on any of the steps where you added fractions. Apparently, that isn't an issue for you. The next one is multiplying fractions. And again, you can't find a mistake based on that. The third is exponents, which you know is just fancy multiplication, and did not mess up any of those either. The last of the four is long division, and when you get through, you realize that you never got a single long division section right. The reason you got a 50% on your test is because coincidentally, 50% of the questions required long division. This is really important to find out. In this example, you are not a kid who is bad at math completely like your grade would suggest. You are a kid who is terrible at long division, but who is quite skilled at other aspects of math. And if you put in a focused effort on learning how to do long division, then you would just be flat out good at math. And so our principle, work on your greatest stumbling blocks. Pretty much every time you can break one big learning task down into smaller components. And if you have room for improvement on a big learning task, I would bet money that you are not a perfect jack of all trades who needs to improve every area equally, but someone with strengths and weaknesses. I call this way of thinking and breaking things down a task analysis. In task analysis, you break something up into its fundamental components, and then based on which components are most important and what you are lacking, you focus your efforts. Let's look at learning a foreign language. There are many domains that all need to be worked on for full mastery of that language. Your vocabulary, accurate use of grammar, pronunciation quality, pronunciation speed, how quickly other people can talk and you can still understand them, the breadth of voices and accents you can understand, how fast you can go from a thought in one language to a vocalization in another language, and how fast you can read, among others. All of these tasks have a border on your comfort zone and can be individually challenged and pushed back. Ideally, you would do some real self-reflection and figure out which area is holding you back the most, then do a concerted effort to expand that area until it is no longer the limiting factor. That is the seeking mentality at its finest. Looking at it this way also makes it obvious that good strategies for improving one area do not work for another. If you have trouble listening to people who speak fast, improving your pronunciation quality will not help you. Rather, you need a systematic approach to listening faster, such as changing the playback speed on videos, or finding YouTubers that talk just uncomfortably fast, then moving on to a faster one every time it becomes easy. We talked before about how active learning is expanding your comfort zone at the border. So you need to pick something related to the specific subtask you are working on, and then find a way to push yourself to the next level. I do want to clarify something. The principle is not work on your weaknesses, but rather work on your greatest stumbling blocks. The reality is that not all weaknesses affect you in the same way, and something that is relatively strong can still be what is holding you back. I've been working on handstands for a while now. Here's my task analysis. The first and most important thing is the calibration of your brain and wrist muscles. You need to keep your center of gravity over your hands, and you don't want to under or overcompensate, which takes a lot of time practicing handstands for your brain to figure out. There are other important things though. How well you can keep your core and your legs straight, the flexibility in your shoulders, the strength in your shoulders, the flexibility in your wrists, and the strength in your wrists. This is what my current handstand situation looks like. I'm actually pretty decent at handstands and have a good calibration. Unfortunately, my wrists really hurt me when I try handstands right now. I need to get them stronger so they can handle my body weight. However, once my wrists cross this threshold of being able to tolerate handstands, even though objectively they might still be weak, they are no longer my greatest stumbling block. For anyone with healthy, mobile, and relatively strong joints, the absolute stumbling block is calibration. Past that point, I could quadruple the strength in my wrists, but I would be no better at handstands because that is not the factor holding me back. For each subsection, you have to look not only at where you stand, but how important it is to the overall mission, and choose the few things that make the biggest difference. So that's it. Work on your greatest stumbling blocks. Your homework is to find something you want to get better at and do a full task analysis. Break it down in as many ways as possible. Give yourself some sort of rating for how well you think you do those, and then pick the one or two things that are holding you back the most and work on them for a week. Next time, we will take a look at studying.